Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Today we would like to present a technical analysis which containing 5 different counters. We will present a detailed analysis of 5 stocks from 5 different industries that are listed on the Bursa Malaysia. DG, Lehom Berhad, Computer Forms Malaysia Berhad, Apollo and NWP Holdings Berhad has been chosen. We will analyze buy and sell signals from these stocks from each company using 5 indicators, which is moving average, MACD, ROC, RSI, and stochastic by showing in line charts. Since 1985, DG has been a pioneer in wireless communication, forging the future for connected devices and responding to the needs of the people and enterprises that use them. DG is a leading and trusted digital connectivity and services company, empowering societies and keeping customers connected to what matters most. DG's top priority is to provide connectivity to Malaysians across the country in a safe, dependable, and efficient manner. They have established strong foundations and expertise in future-ready networks, digitalization, customer experience, workplace and people development, and responsible business practices, all shaped by an innovative culture. The cut-off date for this stock is 24th June 2022, and the closing price is RM3.42 per share. As you guys can see, based on the moving average, I would like to recommend to investors to hold their decision to sell the stock if they have the required stock. This is because in the 2 or 3 days after 24 June 2022, there will be a creating a signal for selling. The price code on 24 June 2022 is RM3.21 and it will be estimated to go up until RM3.25 or more. Next, the overbought and oversold line for MACD is 0.071 and negative 0.071. Based on the MACD indicator, I would like to recommend the investor to hold the stock and at price RM3.21 because there is no buying signal was created at negative 0.08. I would suggest the investor to hold the stock based on the MACD indicator because MACD line did not cross the signal line on that day and opposite line. Next, the overbought and oversold line for rate of change or ROC is 5.225% and negative 5.552%. Based on the rate of change indicator, there was no signal created on the 24 June 2022. It's shown that based on the rate of change indicator, the momentum of this stock is maintaining and has no change and has been weakened. Therefore, not recommended for the investor to make any decision while holding this stock. Next, based on the RSI indicator, there is no signal created on 24 June 2022 because the RSI line does not violate the overbought and oversold line. On 24 June 2022, the RSI line still is above the equilibrium region and below overbought line. Consequently, are recommended for the investor to hold any decision here while holding the stock. Last but not least, on the stochastic indicator, there is no signal created on the day and all lines in stock are going down below the equilibrium point. It is shown that the stock is going down and has been weakened, therefore it is not recommended for investors to do decision here. In conclusion, based on the 5 indicators above, it is not recommended to do decision while holding the stock because there are 5 indicators shows that no signal. However, it is not recommended to enter to buy or sell the stock because we do not see the significantly strong signal to decide to buy or sell. We need to wait a few days, maybe take a month to wait for the signal to be creating. Now, I will pass to the next presenter for the second counter.
Thank you, NORZEDA, for the great explanation. Next, I would like to discuss the technical analysis of Lehom Berhad. Before that, my name is NURUL binti RAZAK and my metric number is 2020461524. Lehom Berhad is a public limited company that went public on Bursa Malaysia's main market on 1994. The company main line of operation are the mass manufacturing of fresh vegetables and specialty chickens, egg, liquid eggs, chilled and frozen dressed chicken. This stock's cut-off date is June 24, 2020 and the closing price is RM29 per share. The first indicator that we use is the moving average. The chart shows the uptrend line before June 25, 2020, but on June 21, the chart slowly turned to a downtrend line. The price tends to be much higher than the moving average line. Thus, the investor should hold the stock for that day. Next is the MACD indicator. On June 24, 2020, the MACD line value was at 0.0123, while the signal line was at 0.0081. The oversold and overbought line is 0.005 and negative 0.005 respectively. In addition, the MACD indicator indicates the blue line was above the red line. As the MACD line is crossover higher than the signal line, there is a hold signal during the period. Thus, we advise the investor to hold their purchases until the new movement appears. Besides, we use the ROC indicator. On June 24, 2020, the ROC value is 13.7% from the chart. ROC rise higher before the cut-off date. However, later, the line dropped after the cut-off date. The ROC line is above the ROCMA line, so that it might be even higher the next day. In this situation, the investor should hold to buy the stock as the ROC line are above the ROCMA line. Moreover, the indicator that we use is the Relative Strength Index, RSI. The chart indicates 56.1%, while the oversold and overbought value is at 30% and 70% respectively. The line is more likely in between the overbought line. The RSI shows an uptrend pattern that is more towards buying signal, but the RSI line is still not above the overbought line. Therefore, the investor should hold the stock on that day. Stochastic is the last indicator we use to determine the sell or buying signal. Based on the chart above, the value of K% is 60%, meanwhile 61.7% 40%. The overbought and oversold value is at 20 and 19 respectively, as the cut line shows the uptrend pattern and is between the overbought lines but has not yet reached or exceed the overbought line. Thus, there is no buying and selling signal here. The investors are recommended to hold the stock first on that day. For recommendation, the best action for an investor to take when deciding whether to purchase, sell or hold this company's share is to hold the stock action, because most indicator shows the hold signal to buy this company's stock until the ideal signal appears.
Hi, my name is IZZATI binti AILANE. My matric number is 20208286 and 3X. Computer Forms Malaysia Berhad is incorporated in Malaysia and engaged in the printing and distributing of computers, forms, stock forms and specialized forms. The cut-off date for these stocks is 24 June 2022 and the closing price is 1.05 ringgit per share. Based on moving average graph, we recommend that the investor buy the stocks on that day because the graph reveals that the price line crossed the line on 23 June. It is a good time to buy the stock because the gap between it and the price line is already wide. Next, the MACD line tends to cross the signal lines and it shows a buying signal. The signal line and the MACD line have crossed in directions that is positive and above zero. It is showing that the indicator strongly advises investors to buy the stocks. The next indicator is the rate of change, ROC. The graph shows that no signal was generated on that particular day. The ROC line, however, is rising above the equilibrium point. Thus, this stock's momentum is increasing, and it has been demonstrated that the ROC line will cross the overbought regions in a few weeks and generate a selling signal. Investor must therefore hold the decisions to sell based on the ROC indications, and according to the RSI graph above, We want to advise investors to hold off on selling the stocks they bought because the RSI line was below the oversold at 18.4% on 23 June. However, the RSI line is moving upward and it will soon raise enough to cross the overbought line. Investors should wait for their choice to sell the shares. According to the stochastic graph, no signal was created on that day. The reason for this is that the K line has been elevated over the D line and this stock's momentum is increasing. Therefore, we encourage investors to hold their stock sales decisions. As a recommendation, it is suggested that investors decide to hold Computer Fonds Malaysia Berhad stocks based on the 5 indicators because 3 of the indicators are ROC, RSI, and stochastics show relevance to hold the decisions. The MACD and moving average predicted that the buying signal will appear in a few days or a week. Next, Apollo Food Holdings Berhad is a Malaysia-based holding company. For many years, Apollo was Malaysia's top manufacturer of compound chocolate wafer coating and chocolate confectionery. The cut-off date for this stock is 24 June 2022 and the closing price is 3.89 ringgit per share. According to the graph of the moving average, the investors can sell the stock for 3.89 ringgit at the current market price, but the price is expected to drop the next day. Meanwhile, the MACD graph that showed here indicates that the MACD lines and the signal line do not cross, and the break of a sold line also does not happen. We recommend that investors should keep this stock in their portfolio rather than sell it. Next is based on ROC, RSI, and stochastic graph, and investors should wait at least a few days and up to a week before making the decisions to sell their stocks. The reason for this is that there is no selling signal and the momentum of the stock is going down, despite the fact that the RSI line was lower than the oversold line, which is currently located at 53.3%. It is still rising upward and is expected to hit the oversold line the next day. For the stochastic graph, the K line, which represents 33.3%, and the D line, which represents 40.7%, do not cross each other on the stochastic graph. Thus, the momentum is dropping even further. We will provide the investor and the recommendations to retain their stocks before making the decisions to sell those stocks, since 4 out of the 5 indicators point out the fact that they should hold the stock if they buy the stock from the Apollo company on 24 June 2022.
Assalamualaikum, I am NAJLA binti YAAKOP. NWP Holdings Berhad is a Malaysian firm specializing in investment holding with a vision of molding and lumber. The stock's cut-off date is 24 June 2022 and the closing price is 25 cents per share. Based on the moving average on June 22, since the price has gone up from the previous at 29 cents, it is acceptable to conclude that the moving average indicates the current position is a sign of profit. I advise investors to sell their NWP stocks on that day, since the price is predicted to fall the next day. Next, when the MACD line passes the overbought line on the 24th of June, the signal for selling stock is strongly given for the trader at 25 cents, and I advise all the traders to sell their stocks on the same day. Meanwhile, the momentum of the ROC line for this stock is declining. Even though there is a selling signal on 21 June, I do not recommend that investors make any decision here and hold to sell the NWP stocks until the price rises. Furthermore, the investor will enjoy profit in early June 2022 when the RSI line crosses the overbought line and falls below 70%. At this moment, I advise investors to sell their NWP stocks because if they do not, they will incur losses due to declining prices. Lastly, stochastic point indicates a sell signal for 20 June since the %K line is lower than %D and greater than 80%. It shows that market is overbought. To minimize losses, I suggested investors should sell the NWP stocks at this pace. Based on the 5 indicators shown above, I encourage selling the NWP stocks since 4 of the 5 indicators offer a substantial selling signal, excluding the ROC indicators. The most recent information regarding NWP is that the company incorporated a new wholly owned subsidiary, NWP Marine Sdn Bhd, on 20 June 2022. Whether these new developments will bear fruit for NWP Holdings investors remain to be seen, so investors should sell the stock before the price fall, preventing them from losing. That's all for NWP Holdings Bhd. In conclusion, our group decided that NWP Holdings Bhd was the best counter of the 5 counters we considered. Based on our observation, we found that 4 out of 5 indicators used in the counter will result in the same outcome. A selling signal. The moving average, MACD, RSI, and stochastic indicators are the only 4 with strong styling signals, while the rate of change is the only indicator that indicates no signal for selling. It is best to hold the stock before selling. Overall, with the end of NWP Holdings Bhd as our best counter from the 5 counters analysis, based on technical analysis, investors should sell this stock as soon as possible. That's all from us. Thank you for listening and Assalamualaikum.